Today we will look at two very large and powerful countries, the United States of America and Russia. The year is 2025, and this essay will compare them in several important ways. We will examine their military strength, looking at both the number of soldiers and the equipment they use. We will also explore their economies, which provide the money for everything a country does. This includes their defense budgets and overall wealth. Geography is another key area, as the size and location of a country shape its strengths and challenges. Finally, we will touch on education, which is vital for a country's long-term success. The goal is to present facts in a clear and simple way. The United States is a large country in North America with a population of about 341.8 million people. Because of this large population, it has a significant number of people available for military service. Out of its total population, about 149.2 million people are considered available for military roles if needed. From this group, around 121.7 million are deemed fit for service, which means they are healthy enough to be soldiers. Every year, approximately 4.3 million young Americans reach the age where they can join the military. This large pool of potential soldiers is a major resource for the country's armed forces and its ability to maintain a strong presence globally. Russia is the largest country in the world by land area, stretching across both Europe and Asia. In 2025, its population is about 144.2 million people, which is less than half of the United States. This smaller population results in a smaller pool of available manpower for its military. Russia has about 69.5 million people available for service, and of those, 46.5 million are considered fit to serve. Each year, about 1.3 million people in Russia reach military age. While this number is smaller than in the US, Russia compensates with a different military structure, which includes a very large number of reserve and paramilitary forces, giving it a different kind of depth in its personnel. Comparing these numbers shows a clear difference in human resources. The United States has more than double the population and, as a result, a much larger pool of people who could potentially join the military. This demographic advantage translates into a larger number of individuals reaching military age each year, providing a steady stream of new recruits. Russia, while having a smaller population, has historically emphasized a large reserve force to be called upon in times of need. This strategic choice reflects how each country uses its unique demographic situation to build and maintain its military strength, highlighting different approaches to national defense based on population size. When we look at active military personnel, the numbers are surprisingly close. The United States has about 1,328,000 active soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. These are the full-time members of the armed forces. Russia has a very similar number, with about 1,320,000 active personnel. However, the big difference comes in the reserve forces. The US has around 778,500 reserve personnel, while Russia has a massive reserve force of 2 million people. Additionally, Russia has 554,000 paramilitary members, a category the US does not have. This means Russia's total potential military personnel number is much higher, at 3,874,000 compared to the US total of 2,106,500. On the ground, the comparison of land forces shows different strengths. Russia possesses a significantly larger number of tanks, with 14,777 compared to 4,657 for the United States. This trend continues with artillery. Russia has more self-propelled artillery, 6,575 to 1,500, and more towed artillery, 4,336 to 1,339. It also leads in mobile rocket projectors, with 3,887 to America's 1,716. The United States, on the other hand, has a massive advantage in armored vehicles, with 360,000 compared to Russia's 161,000. This suggests Russia focuses on heavy firepower with tanks and artillery, while the US emphasizes mobility and protection for its infantry with a vast fleet of armored vehicles. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the military might of the US and Russia, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more epic comparisons, and let us know in the comments. Which side do you think has the edge so far? Your thoughts could be featured in our next video. In the air, the United States holds a commanding lead. The U.S. Air Force operates a total of 13,000 209 aircraft, while Russia has 4,336. This gap is seen across almost all categories. The US has more fighter jets, 1,854 to 809, and more helicopters, 5,599 to 1,559. A critical advantage for the US is its logistical and support aircraft. It has 962 transport planes to Russia's 453 and an enormous fleet of 568 tanker aircraft for in-flight refueling, compared to Russia's 19. This tanker fleet gives American air power a global reach that is very difficult for any other nation to match, allowing its planes to operate far from their bases for extended periods. At sea, the numbers tell another interesting story. Russia has a larger total number of naval assets, with 588 ships compared to America's 504. However, the composition of these fleets is very different. The United States naval power is built around its 11 aircraft carriers, massive ships that act as floating air bases. Russia has only one. The US also has 9 helicopter carriers, while Russia has none. This gives the US the ability to project air power anywhere in the world from the ocean. Russia has more smaller ships like corvettes, 83 to 15, and a slight edge in submarines, 65 to 64. The US has a much larger force of powerful destroyers, 75 to 16. A country's military strength is directly supported by its economy. In 2025, the economic differences between the United States and Russia are vast. The US has a nominal gross domestic product, or GDP, of $28.78 trillion. This is the total value of all goods and services produced in the country. Russia's nominal GDP is much smaller, at $2.13 trillion. This means the US economy is more than 13 times larger. This economic power allows the United States to spend significantly more on its military. The US defense budget is $916 billion, while Russia's is $109 billion. This massive spending gap allows the US to invest heavily in advanced technology, research, and maintaining a global military presence. Geography plays a fundamental role in defining a nation. Russia is the largest country in the world by land area, covering over 16.3 million square kilometers. The United States is also very large, but smaller at 9.1 million square kilometers. Russia's immense size means it shares land borders with many countries, totaling 22,408 kilometers. This creates complex security challenges along its periphery. The United States has much shorter land borders, totaling 12,048 kilometers, primarily with 2 friendly neighbors, Canada and Mexico. Russia also has a longer coastline at 37,653 kilometers, but much of it is in the Arctic and frozen for large parts of the year, limiting its use for naval bases and trade. Logistics and infrastructure are the backbone that allows a country to move people and goods efficiently. The United States has a highly developed transportation network. It has over 13,500 airports compared to Russia's 1,218. This allows for rapid movement of people and supplies by air across the vast country. The U.S. also has a much more extensive network of roads, 6.8 million kilometers to 1.5 million kilometers, and railways, 293,564 kilometers to 85,600 kilometers. This infrastructure is crucial for both the economy and for moving military forces within the country. Russia, despite its size, has less developed infrastructure, which can be a challenge for connecting its distant regions. These economic and geographic facts reveal core strengths and weaknesses. The overwhelming economic power of the United States funds its technological and military superiority. Its favorable geography with vast oceans on 2 sides and friendly neighbors provides a high level of security. Russia's geography is both a strength and a challenge. Its massive size provides strategic depth, making it difficult to invade. However, its long land borders and less developed infrastructure create significant logistical and security burdens. The immense defense budget of the U.S. allows it to overcome logistical challenges and project power globally, a capability that Russia's smaller economy cannot match to the same degree. Education is the foundation for a country's future, influencing its economy, technology, and the skills of its people. In this area, both the United States and Russia show very high levels of basic literacy. The literacy rate in the US is 99%, meaning nearly all adults can read and write. Russia's literacy rate is slightly higher, at 99.7%, a legacy of its strong emphasis on universal education. These high rates show that both countries have populations capable of learning complex skills, which is essential for a modern economy and military. A literate population is a resource that can be trained for any number of advanced tasks, from engineering to military strategy. While literacy is nearly universal in both nations, other metrics show some differences in their education systems. The Education Index is a measure that combines factors like years of schooling and expected years of schooling. On this index, the United States scores 0.94, which is one of the highest scores in the world. This reflects a system with a long history of higher education and advanced research universities. Russia's score is also high at 0.83, but it is lower than the US score. This suggests that while basic education is excellent, there may be differences in access to or the quality of higher education and specialized training, which can impact a nation's ability to innovate over the long term. In conclusion, our comparison in 2025 shows two powerful nations with very different profiles. The United States' primary strengths are its massive economy and its technological superiority, especially in air and sea power. Its large population and favorable geography further enhance its position. Russia's strengths lie in its vast landmass, its large number of land-based military assets like tanks and artillery, and its significant reserve and paramilitary forces. It has a powerful nuclear arsenal and a resilient population, but it operates with a much smaller economy and faces greater logistical challenges due to its size and infrastructure. These comparisons are not about declaring a winner, but about understanding the different ways nations build and project power. The United States leverages its economic might to create a high-tech, globe-spanning military force. Russia, with fewer economic resources, focuses on formidable land power and a large pool of military personnel to secure its vast territory. Both countries have highly educated populations, but the U.S. system appears to provide a broader base for advanced innovation. The facts show that each country has tailored its strengths to its unique circumstances, shaped by the powerful forces of geography, economy, and demographics. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the military and educational strengths of the US and Russia, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more insightful comparisons, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us bring you more content like this.